The galactic center is the very heart of our Milky Way galaxy, a supermassive black hole surrounded by stars, gas, and unimaginable energy. It's a point of immense power and activity, and in astrology it carries symbolic meaning as a source of inspiration, amplification, and broadcasting. Many astrologers see it as a channel through which higher knowledge and universal messages flow into human awareness. Astrologically, the galactic center sits at around 27 degrees of Sagittarius. That's the exact point you'll want to check in your own chart. To find where it lands for you, look at which house in your birth chart contains 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And for accuracy, I recommend using the equal house system rather than Placidus, because this ensures a more reliable reading of where this placement actually falls in your life. Now here's the key question. Have you ever wondered where the masses are naturally drawn to you? What makes people lean in, listen, and resonate with your presence without you even trying? That magnetic pull is what the astrological placement represents. It is the intersection where the likability of the masses meets your authentic self. This is why the galactic center is often considered even more important than the midheaven. The midheaven shows what you are recognized for, your role, your status, your career. But this placement shows something deeper, the energy you broadcast simply by being who you are, the part of you that instinctively resonates with the collective. When you work with this placement, you're not just building a reputation, you're aligning with the frequency of your true self. And it's that authenticity that the masses find magnetic. This placement reveals the space where your higher purpose and your public reception meet, where your individuality becomes the very thing that draws people toward you. The first house is the house of identity, self-expression, appearance, and how you meet the world. It describes the energy you radiate simply by being you. When the galactic center is here, its immense energy is channeled directly through your personality and presence. This placement suggests that your very being, your authenticity, your character, your way of showing up in the world, naturally draws the attention and resonance of others. This placement creates someone who often has an aura of magnetism. You may not always understand why people are drawn to you, but there is something about your presence that feels larger than life, as though you are broadcasting on a frequency others can't help but notice. At your best, you embody authenticity so strongly that others feel inspired to be more true to themselves in your presence. At your most unbalanced, you may feel pressure to live up to others' perceptions of you, or struggle with the weight of visibility when all you want is to be left alone. In relationships, the galactic center in the first house makes you the mirror through which others experience inspiration. You may find that people project hopes, ideals, or expectations onto you, seeing you as a guide, leader, or spark of something greater. This can be flattering but also challenging, as it requires you to hold firm boundaries. And remember that your role is not to carry others' dreams for them, but to live your own authenticity. In career, this placement points less to a specific profession and more to the fact that your success flows from being fully yourself. Whether you're in leadership, the arts, teaching, spirituality, or business, your impact comes from the authenticity you embody. People respond not just to what you do, but to how you do it, to the presence you bring. Careers that put you in direct contact with others or in visible roles often feel most aligned. Publicly, the galactic center in the first house means that you can't easily hide. Others notice you, remember you, or feel something significant in your presence. Even if you try to blend in, you may find that you are singled out or that people look to you as an example. The lesson here is to embrace your role as a transmitter of inspiration while staying grounded and centered in who you are. Health and well-being are also important themes with this placement. Because the first house rules the body and vitality, you may experience cycles of transformation that reshape how you see yourself physically and mentally. Crises may act as turning points that force you to shed false identities and step more fully into who you are. Learning to care for your body and protect your energy is vital because you are constantly broadcasting more than you realize. Financially, the galactic center in the first house suggests that your ability to attract resources is tied to your authenticity. When you act in alignment with your true self, opportunities flow more easily. When you compromise or try to fit into roles that aren't really you, you may feel blocked or overlooked. The universe seems to respond directly to how true you are to yourself. The deeper lesson of the galactic center in the first house is about recognizing that your presence is your power. You are a living channel for universal energy, and your authenticity is what others resonate with most. You don't need to put on a performance or become someone else to be liked or noticed. The more you lean into your true identity, the more magnetic you become. At its heart, this placement teaches that the masses are drawn, not to what you pretend to be, but to who you really are. If you hide behind masks, you may feel drained or misunderstood. If you step into authenticity, you shine in a way that feels natural and effortless. So ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my true self? Or am I wearing identities that no longer fit me? Am I willing to trust that being fully myself is enough to inspire others? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the first house teaches that your true magnetism lies in authenticity. Your presence alone can spark inspiration, uplift others, and remind them of their own potential. This is your invitation to embrace who you are without apology, to trust that your energy speaks louder than words, to know that the masses are drawn not to an image you create, but to the light you already carry within you. The second house is the house of money, possessions, self-worth, and values. It describes how you earn and manage resources, but also how you value yourself and what you hold dear. When the Galactic Center is here, its radiant energy becomes tied to themes of worth, abundance, and security. This placement suggests that the way you approach money and values is not just practical, but deeply connected to your authentic self. And the masses instinctively sense this energy in you. This placement creates someone whose relationship with resources feels amplified. At your best, you embody an attitude of abundance that inspires others, showing that prosperity flows when you align with your true values. You may attract wealth or opportunities not through chasing them, but through living authentically, expressing your gifts, and trusting that you deserve support. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with self-worth, swinging between over-attachment to material things and undervaluing yourself, until you learn that true wealth comes from alignment with your inner worth. In relationships, the Galactic Center in the second house can mean that others are drawn to the way you embody value. Partners may look to you for stability, or may admire your sense of authenticity when it comes to money and possessions. However, this can also bring lessons. If you overgive or attach your worth to what you provide materially, you may feel used or unappreciated. The key is to remember that your presence, not your possessions, is what makes you magnetic. In career, this placement often points toward roles where you earn through your authentic skills or talents. You may thrive in entrepreneurship, creative fields, teaching, or any career where your values are at the center. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, you may notice sudden opportunities for financial growth, or dramatic shifts in your earning patterns. Each time, the universe pushes you closer to making money in alignment with your authentic self, not by compromising who you are. Publicly, the second house placement shows that others resonate with how you embody your values. People may be inspired by how you create security, how you stand by what you believe in, or how you navigate abundance. The masses may be drawn not just to what you say, but to how you live, your choices, your lifestyle, and the integrity behind them. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to self-worth. When you value yourself, your health flourishes. When you undervalue yourself, stress and depletion can show up in the body. Caring for your health, like caring for your money, becomes a way of affirming your value to yourself. Grounding practices are especially important here because the second house is an earth-centered house. Walking barefoot on the ground, connecting to the body, and living simply can help keep your energy steady. Financially, the Galactic Center in the second house can bring dramatic shifts in income. You may experience times of loss, followed by renewal, or sudden opportunities that expand your earning potential. At its heart, this placement teaches that your financial path is tied directly to authenticity. The more you embody your true values, the more resources you attract. Money becomes a reflection of your alignment, rather than something separate from it. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the second house is about worth, not just what you own, but what you are. This placement asks you to see your own presence as valuable, your ideas, your voice, your being. Possessions may come and go, but your worth is innate. When you live from that truth, you naturally inspire others to value themselves as well. At its heart, this placement teaches that the masses are drawn to the way you embody value and security. People notice your authenticity in how you handle money, how you live by your principles, and how you radiate self-worth. If you measure yourself by external possessions, you may feel unstable. But when you anchor in your inner worth, you become magnetic. So ask yourself, do I measure my value by what I own? Or by who I truly am? Am I willing to trust that abundance flows when I live in alignment with my authentic self? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the second house teaches that true prosperity is not about clinging to possessions, but about recognizing that your worth is the source of your abundance. This is your invitation to live from values that reflect your true self, to trust that when you honor your inner worth, the resources you need will flow, and to know that the masses are drawn to you, not for what you own, but for the light of authenticity you carry. The third house is the house of communication, learning, siblings, early education, and your immediate environment. It represents the way you think, speak, write, and connect with others in daily life. When the Galactic Center is here, its immense energy flows directly through your mind and voice. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to the way you communicate, the way you share knowledge, and the way your words carry an almost magnetic resonance. This placement creates someone with a voice that feels amplified. At your best, you may feel like a channel for ideas, inspiration, and truth that others instinctively respond to. You might be the person who says what others are thinking but cannot put into words, or who sparks curiosity and insight simply by speaking authentically. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with information overload, speaking without grounding, or feeling overwhelmed by the responsibility of your influence. In relationships, the Galactic Center in the third house shows that your closest bonds often revolve around communication. You may attract partners, friends, or colleagues who are inspired by your words and who help you express yourself more clearly. However, there can also be challenges. If you feel unheard, or if your ideas are dismissed, you may withdraw or overcompensate by talking too much. The key is to remember that your power lies not in controlling how others receive you, but in staying authentic in your voice. In career, this placement often points toward fields involving teaching, writing, speaking, media, publishing, technology, or community engagement. Because the Galactic Center amplifies what it touches, you may find that your influence grows when you share ideas with a wide audience. Podcasts, social media, blogs, or even grassroots conversations may become the channels through which your energy reaches others. Success flows when your communication aligns with your higher truth, rather than trying to impress or persuade. Publicly, the third house placement shows that others resonate with your way of thinking and your ability to translate big concepts into accessible language. People may be drawn to you because you explain things clearly, ask the right questions, or bring fresh perspectives into ordinary conversations. The masses are not just drawn to your words, but to the authenticity behind them, the sense that you're broadcasting something that rings true. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to the nervous system, because the third house rules the mind and mental processes. Overstimulation, stress, or burnout can affect your health if you don't ground your communication. Practices like journaling, meditation, or time offline help you manage the intensity of the energy that constantly flows through your mind. Financially, the Galactic Center in the third house can suggest that opportunities often come through communication, learning, and networking. You may find that the people you meet or the ideas you share open doors in surprising ways. Contracts, writing, and media-related work may all play a role in building abundance. The challenge is to stay authentic. If you compromise your voice for material gain, you may feel disconnected. But when you stay true, opportunities seem to appear naturally. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the third house is about recognizing the sacred role of communication in your life. Your words are not just ordinary, they carry resonance, and others pick up on that. This placement invites you to honor your voice as a channel, to use it consciously, and to trust that the right people will hear it when the time is right. At its heart, this placement teaches that the masses are drawn to your ideas and the way you share them. They respond not just to your intellect, but to your authenticity. If you hold back, you may feel restless, as though your thoughts are building up with nowhere to go. But when you express yourself freely and honestly, you shine. So ask yourself, am I speaking with authenticity, or am I silencing myself out of fear? Am I willing to trust that my words carry weight and can inspire others? Because the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the third house teaches that your true magnetism lies in your voice. The way you communicate can light sparks in others, opening their minds and expanding their vision. This is your invitation to speak your truth, to trust the power of your words, and to know that the masses are drawn not just to what you say, but to the authenticity that shines through every message you share. The fourth house is the house of home, family, ancestry, roots, and inner emotional foundations. It represents where you come from, the base that grounds you, and the private self that only close loved ones see. When the galactic center is here, its immense energy shines through your inner world and your foundations in life. This placement suggests that your authentic self and your likability with the masses are deeply tied to the themes of family, home, and emotional authenticity. This placement creates someone whose sense of belonging carries resonance. At your best, you embody a deep authenticity rooted in your private life, which others instinctively pick up on. People may be drawn to you not because of what you show publicly, but because of the grounded, real, and heartfelt energy you radiate. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with family expectations, instability in home life, or difficulty creating a private sanctuary for yourself, until you learn that true strength comes from building solid inner foundations. In relationships, the galactic center in the fourth house often points to bonds that feel karmic, ancestral, or deeply rooted in soul connection. You may attract partners who feel like family, or who help you heal family patterns. These relationships often touch on themes of home, security, and belonging. At times, there may be challenges with balancing the pull of private life and public demands, but ultimately your relationships thrive when they are built on authenticity and emotional depth. In career, this placement doesn't necessarily push you into the spotlight as much as other houses might. Instead, your success often flows from creating stability, building roots, or working in areas that support others on an emotional level. Real estate, family businesses, healing professions, psychology, or careers tied to ancestry, culture, and heritage may feel aligned. Even if you step into public roles, your power is drawn from your inner world. When your foundations are strong, your public impact becomes amplified. Publicly, the fourth house placement suggests that the masses may be drawn to you because you embody emotional authenticity and a sense of home. People may feel comfortable around you, as though they can trust you with their vulnerabilities. You may not even realize how much others see you as an anchor or a grounding presence. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to emotional security. Stress in the home or family environment can directly impact your physical health. Creating a nurturing private space is essential for your vitality. Practices like ancestral healing, journaling, or connecting with your lineage can help you access the deeper strength that comes from your roots. Financially, the galactic center in the fourth house can suggest that money or property may be tied to family, inheritance, or real estate. You may experience dramatic shifts in these areas, with cycles of loss and renewal that push you toward creating your own foundation of security. Ultimately, prosperity flows when you honor your authentic roots and build a home base that reflects who you truly are. The deeper lesson of the galactic center in the fourth house is about recognizing that your foundation is your broadcast. When your private life aligns with your authentic self, the energy radiates outward and inspires others. The masses are drawn not to what you project publicly, but to the depth, security, and authenticity you carry deep within. At its heart, this placement teaches that true magnetism begins at home, with the relationship you have to yourself, your family, and your roots. If you neglect this, you may feel restless or unstable. But when you embrace and heal your foundations, you radiate an energy that naturally draws others toward you. So ask yourself, am I building my life on authentic foundations, or am I carrying patterns that no longer serve me? Am I willing to heal my roots so that my inner world truly supports who I am becoming? Because the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the fourth house teaches that your power comes from your roots. The authenticity you cultivate in your home, your family, and your private self becomes the very energy that resonates outward, inspiring others and creating a legacy that lasts. This is your invitation to honor your ancestry, to build a home that reflects your true self, and to remember that the masses are drawn not just to what you do, but to the grounded authenticity of who you are at your core. The fifth house is the house of creativity, romance, self-expression, play, pleasure, and children. It governs how you shine as an individual, how you express joy, and how you create from the heart. When the Galactic Center is here, its immense energy flows directly through your creative and expressive self. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to the way you radiate joy, authenticity, and originality. This placement creates someone whose creativity feels amplified and magnetic. At your best, you become a channel for inspiration, producing art, ideas, or expressions that resonate far beyond your personal world. People may be drawn to your unique spark, your sense of fun, or the way you bring light into ordinary situations. At your most unbalanced, you may feel pressure to perform, to seek validation through attention, or to burn yourself out chasing applause, rather than staying true to your authentic joy. In relationships, the Galactic Center in the fifth house often points to passionate, inspiring, and even dramatic romances. You may attract partners who feel larger than life, or who push you to express yourself more fully. These connections can feel destined, filled with creative or spiritual chemistry. The challenge is to avoid falling into ego-driven dramas or seeking external validation for your worth. The real magnetism comes from expressing yourself authentically. In career, this placement suggests success in creative fields, entertainment, art, performance, teaching, spirituality, or anything that allows you to bring joy and inspiration to others. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, your creations and ideas can have a ripple effect, reaching far more people than you expect. The key is to create from the heart, not for approval. When you follow your joy, recognition and opportunities naturally follow. Publicly, the fifth house placement shows that others resonate with your playful authenticity. People may be drawn to your lightheartedness, your creativity, or the way you make them feel more alive. You remind others of the importance of joy, imagination, and self-expression. Even in serious situations, you have the ability to uplift others simply by being yourself. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to joy and creativity. When you neglect play and expression, you may feel drained, uninspired, or disconnected. When you embrace your creative energy, whether through art, music, dance, writing, or play, your vitality expands. Your health is directly linked to how much space you allow for joy in your life. Financially, the Galactic Center in the fifth house suggests that money may flow through creative ventures, entertainment, or projects tied to children and education. You may experience sudden bursts of abundance connected to your creative output, as well as cycles of risk and reward. Ultimately, financial success comes when you create from authenticity rather than chasing trends or approval. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the fifth house is about recognizing that joy is your broadcast. The masses are drawn not just to what you create, but to the authenticity of the joy and light you radiate. When you align with play, passion, and true self-expression, you become magnetic. At its heart, this placement teaches that your greatest power lies in inspiring others through your joy. If you suppress your creativity, you may feel restless or overlooked. But when you express yourself fully, you shine in a way that lights others up too. So ask yourself, am I creating for approval, or am I expressing my authentic joy? Am I willing to trust that the things I love most naturally inspire others? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the fifth house teaches that your creativity, your play, and your joy are not small things. They are cosmic broadcasts that ripple out to the masses. This is your invitation to embrace your inner child, to create without fear, and to trust that the world is drawn not just to what you make, but to the joy and authenticity that flow through it. The sixth house is the house of work, daily routines, service, health, and habits. It describes how you approach your responsibilities, how you care for your body, and how you dedicate yourself to serving others. When the Galactic Center is here, its immense energy flows directly into your daily life and service. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to the way you show up consistently, authentically, and with purpose in your everyday work and habits. This placement creates someone whose presence in service is amplified, At your best, you inspire others not through grand gestures, but through the integrity you bring to daily life. The way you work, the way you care for yourself, and the way you serve others carries resonance that others notice. At your most unbalanced, you may feel overwhelmed by routine, struggle with perfectionism, or sacrifice yourself in service to others until you learn that true service must come from authenticity, not obligation. In relationships, the Galactic Center in the 6th house often points to partnerships that form around shared work, health practices, or service. You may attract partners who admire your dedication or who help you refine your daily habits. At times, this placement can bring lessons around balance, learning not to give too much of yourself in relationships, but to maintain healthy routines that support both you and the other person. In career, this placement suggests success in fields tied to health, wellness, service, teaching, healing, or any profession where dedication and daily effort make a difference. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, even small acts of service can have ripple effects, reaching far more people than you expect. Your impact may come not from dramatic moments, but from showing up consistently and authentically in your work. Publicly, the 6th house placement shows that others resonate with your approach to service and your sense of integrity in everyday life. People may be drawn to you because you embody dedication, authenticity, and care in the small things. The masses may admire your work ethic, your grounded approach, or your ability to make even the ordinary feel meaningful. Health and well-being are especially important with this placement. The 6th house rules the body and habits, and with the Galactic Center here, your health becomes a source of inspiration for others. You may go through cycles of crisis and renewal that force you to transform your lifestyle. When you prioritize self-care, balance, and authentic routines, you not only heal yourself, but also set an example that resonates with others. Financially, the Galactic Center in the 6th house suggests that income often comes from service, daily work, or health-related fields. You may experience sudden shifts in employment or dramatic changes in your routine that alter your financial path. Ultimately, prosperity comes when you align your work with authenticity, when your daily efforts reflect who you truly are. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the 6th house is about recognizing the sacredness of service. Your daily routines, your habits, and your acts of care are not small. They are broadcasts of authenticity that others sense. The masses are drawn not to your image, but to the way you live your values consistently in your everyday life. At its heart, this placement teaches that true magnetism comes from showing up authentically in the small moments. If you neglect your routines or give yourself away in service without balance, you may feel drained. But when you honor your health and your daily work, you shine in a way that naturally inspires others. So ask yourself, am I living my daily life in alignment with my authentic self? Or am I caught in routines that drain me? Am I willing to see my work and my habits as a sacred broadcast to the world? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 6th house teaches that your power lies in service, in the authentic way you care for yourself and others, day by day, moment by moment. This is your invitation to honor your health, to refine your routines, and to recognize that the way you show up in daily life is the very energy that the masses are drawn to. The 7th house is the house of partnerships, marriage, contracts, and one-to-one connections. It describes not just romantic unions, but all significant relationships, business partners, close allies, even rivals. When the Galactic Center is here, its radiant and expansive energy is channeled directly through your interactions with others. This placement suggests that your path to inspiration and visibility comes through partnership. Others act as mirrors, teachers, and conduits, helping you bring through ideas and energy that can resonate far beyond the personal. This placement creates someone who is often seen as magnetic in relationship. You may attract people who are visionary, inspiring, or who feel like they carry a mission of their own. At your best, you form partnerships that uplift and inspire, becoming greater together than you could be alone. These bonds often carry a sense of destiny, as though meeting someone at the right time changes the course of your life. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with giving away too much power to others, losing sight of your own voice, or becoming entangled in relationships that overshadow your individuality. In love, the galactic center in the 7th house points to connections that are deeply transformative. Superficial relationships rarely satisfy you. You are drawn toward partners who expand your worldview, who challenge you to grow, and who align with a sense of higher purpose. Relationships may carry a cosmic quality, as though you are meant to meet at a particular moment to ignite a new chapter. However, because the galactic center amplifies energy, partnerships can also feel intense, overwhelming, or unstable until you learn balance. The lesson here is to maintain your own center while allowing another to stand beside you. In business or creative collaborations, this placement often leads you into roles where you and a partner together broadcast something meaningful to others. You may thrive in joint ventures that involve teaching, art, media, spirituality, or advocacy. Success often comes not from working alone, but from combining your energy with another's. Others may see you as a channel for inspiration, but often it is the synergy between you and a close partner that creates the real spark. Publicly, the 7th house rules how you connect one-to-one, and so you may find that your influence is strongest, not just through mass communication, but through relationships. Whether it is mentoring, counseling, teaching, or building bridges in business, your ability to connect directly with others becomes a way of transmitting cosmic insight. You may notice that key people arrive in your life just when you are ready to grow or shift direction. They become vessels through which the galactic center's energy flows. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to the quality of your relationships. When your partnerships are supportive, you feel energized and inspired. When they are unbalanced or draining, you may experience exhaustion, stress, or a sense of being pulled off your path. Learning to create healthy boundaries and to choose relationships consciously is essential for maintaining your vitality. Financially, the galactic center in the 7th house can suggest that joint ventures, contracts, or shared business opportunities play an important role in your life. You may find that your biggest opportunities for growth or wealth come through partnership rather than solo efforts. At times, this can involve sudden shifts. Partnerships may dissolve, forcing you to rebuild, or new alliances may appear that completely change your trajectory. Each turning point teaches you more about trust, balance, and choosing the right people to walk alongside you. The deeper lesson of the galactic center in the 7th house is about recognizing the sacred role of partnership in your journey. Relationships are not just personal here, they are cosmic. The people you connect with are often channels through which universal messages reach you, and through which you, in turn, reach others. These bonds amplify your energy, allowing you to touch more lives than you could alone. At its heart, this placement teaches that your greatest growth and inspiration often come through others. But the challenge is to avoid losing yourself in those connections. If you give away your power, you may feel disoriented or overshadowed. If you cling too tightly to control, you may push away the very partnerships that could help you flourish. The key is balance, learning to stand firmly in your own center while walking side by side with those who amplify your path. So ask yourself, am I entering relationships that inspire growth, or am I settling for connections that dim my light? Am I willing to see my partners as teachers and equals, rather than sources of validation or control? Because the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 7th house teaches that true partnership is not about possession or dependency, but about co-creation. It is about standing together in authenticity, each a mirror for the other, amplifying a vision that extends far beyond the two of you. This is your invitation to recognize the cosmic role of partnership in your life, to choose relationships that align with truth and purpose, to see each close bond not as an accident, but as part of a larger design, a way for the universe to channel inspiration through connection. The 8th house is the house of intimacy, shared resources, transformation, endings, and rebirth. It deals with what is hidden, what is shared, and what changes us at the deepest levels. When the galactic center is here, its immense energy flows directly into the realms of transformation and power. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to your ability to navigate life's mysteries, your depth, and your authentic approach to change and renewal. This placement creates someone whose energy around transformation feels amplified. At your best, you act as a channel for healing, guiding, or helping others through transitions. You may have an instinctive understanding of life's cycles, death and rebirth, loss and renewal, and others resonate with your ability to face what many avoid. At your most unbalanced, you may feel pulled into power struggles, obsession, or destructive patterns until you learn to release control and trust the deeper flow of life. In relationships, the galactic center in the 8th house often points to partnerships that are deeply transformative. Intimacy is never superficial for you. Your connections may feel fated, karmic, or magnetic, with the potential to completely change your life. Others may be drawn to you for the depth of your presence, your willingness to face vulnerability, or your ability to hold space for transformation. The challenge is to avoid becoming entangled in controlling dynamics or losing yourself in another's energy. In career, this placement suggests success in fields that deal with transformation, healing, psychology, finance, law, occult studies, or research. You may find yourself drawn to professions where you uncover hidden truths, manage shared resources, or help others through crisis and change. Because the galactic center amplifies this house, your work in these areas can ripple out to influence many people, even if it begins in quiet or hidden spaces. Publicly, the 8th house placement shows that others may be drawn to your intensity and your depth. People may sense that you have an ability to see beneath the surface, to speak truths others avoid, or to act as a guide in times of transition. You may not always seek the spotlight, but the masses are drawn to the authenticity you embody in dealing with life's mysteries. Health and well-being with this placement often come through cycles of crisis and regeneration. You may experience powerful turning points that force you to release what no longer serves you, whether habits, beliefs, or attachments. Healing and transformation become lifelong themes, and your own process of renewal can inspire others who witness your journey. Financially, the galactic center in the 8th house highlights shared resources, inheritances, debts, or joint ventures. Money may flow through partnerships or sudden changes in circumstances. You may experience dramatic shifts, loss followed by renewal, which teach you resilience and the ability to rebuild stronger. The lesson here is to view resources not only as personal possessions, but as part of larger cycles of giving, receiving, and transformation. The deeper lesson of the galactic center in the 8th house is about recognizing the sacredness of transformation. Your authentic power is revealed not in clinging to what is safe, but in your ability to face endings and embrace rebirth. The masses are drawn to you because you embody resilience, depth, and a willingness to walk through shadows toward renewal. At its heart, this placement teaches that true magnetism comes from embracing change. If you resist transformation, you may feel stuck or drained, but when you surrender to the cycles of life, you radiate an energy that others instinctively trust and admire. So ask yourself, am I clinging to control out of fear, or am I willing to let go and allow transformation to guide me? Because the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 8th house teaches that your power comes from renewal. By facing the depths, embracing endings, and rising again, you not only heal yourself, but inspire others to embrace their own transformations. This is your invitation to trust in cycles, to release what no longer serves, and to recognize that the masses are drawn to your authentic depth, the part of you that knows how to walk through darkness and emerge into light. The 9th house is the house of philosophy, higher education, travel, belief systems, spirituality, and the search for truth. It represents expansion, exploration, and the pursuit of wisdom beyond immediate experience. When the galactic center is here, its immense energy flows directly into your worldview and your quest for meaning. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to your vision, your beliefs, and the way you share wisdom with others. This placement creates someone whose voice on truth and meaning feels amplified. At your best, you inspire others through your philosophy, your spirituality, or your willingness to explore beyond boundaries. People may be drawn to you because you offer a sense of perspective, or because you seem to carry messages that resonate with collective growth. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with dogmatism, overwhelmed from too many possibilities, or difficulty grounding your vision into practical action. In relationships, the galactic center in the 9th house often points to connections that expand your worldview. You may be drawn to partners from different cultures, belief systems, or backgrounds who inspire you to grow and explore. These relationships often feel like part of your spiritual journey, teaching you lessons about truth, freedom, and perspective. The challenge is to avoid imposing your beliefs on others or losing yourself in the search for meaning through another person. In career, this placement suggests success in fields connected to teaching, publishing, spirituality, law, philosophy, travel, or media. You may thrive in roles where you share knowledge, guide others, or inspire people to think bigger. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, your ideas can ripple out widely, influencing people far beyond your immediate environment. Careers involving broadcasting, global communication, or spiritual teaching often feel especially aligned. Publicly, the ninth house placement shows that others resonate with your sense of vision and your ability to expand horizons. People may be drawn to your optimism, your adventurous spirit, or your willingness to explore big questions. The masses may see you as a guide, a seeker, or a messenger of truth, even if you see yourself simply as a student of life. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to freedom and exploration. If you feel confined, stuck, or disconnected from your search for meaning, your health may suffer. Travel, learning, and spiritual practices can act as medicine for you. Staying connected to growth and expansion keeps your energy vibrant and inspired. Financially, the Galactic Center in the ninth house suggests that money may flow through teaching, publishing, spiritual work, international opportunities, or ventures connected to learning and travel. Sudden opportunities may appear that expand your financial horizons, but stability often comes when your work is aligned with your authentic beliefs and values. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the ninth house is about recognizing the sacred role of truth-seeking in your life. Your authenticity shines brightest when you live in alignment with your beliefs, and the masses are drawn to your willingness to explore, expand, and share wisdom. You become magnetic not by claiming to have all the answers, but by embodying the spirit of exploration itself. At its heart, this placement teaches that true magnetism comes from your authenticity in seeking and sharing meaning. If you compromise your beliefs or silence your curiosity, you may feel restless or unfulfilled. But when you embrace your vision and speak your truth, others resonate deeply with your message. So ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my authentic beliefs? Or am I hiding my voice to fit in? Am I willing to trust that my search for truth is not just personal, but something that can inspire others too? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the ninth house teaches that your quest for wisdom is your broadcast. The vision you carry, the truths you share, and the way you expand beyond limits all resonate with the collective. This is your invitation to embrace your role as a seeker, to share your insights with courage, and to trust that the masses are drawn to the authenticity of your vision, the light you shine by exploring and embodying truth. When this point is placed in the 10th house, the house of career, reputation, public life, and legacy, its influence is magnified. This placement suggests that you are not here to live small. Your life path is tied to visibility, to sharing your gifts and insights with others, and to leaving behind a contribution that resonates beyond your immediate circle. The 10th house governs how the world sees you, the role you play in society, and the mark you leave. To have the Galactic Center here is to carry a symbolic beacon of energy that naturally attracts attention and makes others tune into you, whether you realize it or not. Before diving deeper, make sure you know exactly where this point sits in your own birth chart. Because house systems differ, the placement can shift. For clarity and consistency, it's best to use the equal house system rather than Placidus. This gives you a more reliable sense of which house the Galactic Center falls in and how it plays out in your life. This placement creates someone whose presence often feels larger than life. You may sense an inner calling to fulfill a purpose that goes beyond ordinary ambition. While others may climb the career ladder for security or recognition, you feel that your public role must mean something. It must inspire, uplift, or serve a higher purpose. At your best, you become a visionary leader, a teacher, a guide, or a creator whose work leaves an enduring impact. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with the weight of public expectation or become caught up in chasing status, only to feel empty if your work does not align with your deeper mission. Relationships also take on an important flavour with this placement, because the 10th house often spills into how you are perceived publicly. You may find yourself drawn to partners who support your sense of purpose, or who share your vision of making a difference. At times, you may feel that your relationships are influenced by your reputation or public role. Others may be drawn to you because of what you represent, rather than who you truly are. The challenge here is to remember that while your public life is significant, your private self deserves recognition too. Balancing intimacy with the pull of the wider world ensures that your relationships nourish you rather than drain you. In career, the galactic center in the 10th house often points toward fields that involve vision, communication, and collective influence. You may thrive in teaching, writing, speaking, leadership, spiritual work, creative industries, or technology and media, any profession where your work can resonate with a broad audience. Some with this placement feel called towards social or humanitarian causes, using their visibility to bring attention to issues that matter. Others channel this energy through art, invention, or guiding others in their personal development. The exact form varies, but the common thread is that your career is amplified when it connects to something larger than yourself. At times, you may notice that opportunities in career or public life come suddenly, as though the universe is propelling you forward. This is part of the Galactic Center's symbolic influence, a sense of broadcasting or being tuned in to the collective. People may recognize your ideas, your presence, or your voice in ways that surprise you. The challenge here is not to resist, but to learn how to carry this visibility with grounding. Without grounding, the pressure of being seen or the weight of responsibility can feel overwhelming. Health and well-being are also tied to this placement in subtle ways. Because the 10th house pulls so much energy into public life, there can be a risk of burnout if you pour all of yourself into work and recognition without taking time to rest. The Galactic Center can feel like a constant broadcast, pulling your energy outward, but you will thrive when you also make space to recharge and reconnect with your private world. Practices that center you, whether meditation, time in nature, journaling, or simply quiet reflection, help you stay connected to the inner source that fuels your vision. Financially, this placement does not necessarily point to riches for their own sake, but to success that follows when your work is aligned with a higher purpose. You may find that money flows most easily when you focus on meaningful projects, when your career feels like a calling rather than a burden. Because the Galactic Center amplifies what it touches, there can be dramatic shifts in your professional and financial life, sudden leaps forward, or periods where the old structures fall away so that new ones can be built. Each time you emerge with a clearer sense of what truly matters and how to use your influence wisely. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the 10th house is about legacy. Legacy is not just about titles, achievements, or status. It is about the energy you leave behind, the inspiration you give others, the ideas or creations that ripple out long after you. With this placement, you are being invited to think about your contribution, not only in terms of personal success, but in terms of the wider collective. What do you want to be remembered for? What mark do you want to leave on the world? At its heart, this placement is a call to align ambition with inspiration. If you chase recognition without purpose, it may feel hollow. If you shy away from your calling out of fear of being seen, you may feel restless or unfulfilled. The key is to step forward with authenticity, to allow your public role to be a true reflection of your inner vision. So ask yourself, am I hiding my light because I fear being judged? Or am I willing to step into my purpose and share my vision with the world? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 10th house teaches that true success is not about control, image, or external approval. It is about becoming a channel for vision, a voice that resonates beyond the self, a presence that leaves behind inspiration for generations to come. This is your invitation to step into the spotlight with courage, to trust that your work, your voice, and your presence can matter, to build a legacy that is not only yours, but one that carries the light of something greater, something that continues to shine long after you. The 11th house is the house of friendships, communities, networks, hopes, dreams, and your role within groups and society at large. It describes how you connect with the collective, how you contribute to movements, and the future visions you hold. When the Galactic Center is here, its immense energy flows directly into your community and collective connections. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to your vision of the future, your authenticity in group settings, and your ability to inspire collective change. This placement creates someone whose influence within groups feels amplified. At your best, you become a visionary, someone who inspires communities and networks with your ideas and presence. You may naturally attract friendships and alliances that feel destined, as though certain people appear in your life to help you fulfill your role in shaping collective growth. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with feeling pressured to represent a group, losing your individuality in the collective, or being caught in group dynamics that stifle your authenticity. In relationships, the galactic center in the 11th house often points to bonds that form through community, friendship, or shared ideals. You may be drawn to partners who share your vision, your activism, or your social networks. These connections often feel like collaborations, as though you and the other person are working together towards something bigger than yourselves. The challenge is to maintain intimacy and authenticity while also embracing the larger collective mission. In career, this placement suggests success in fields involving networks, technology, activism, humanitarian causes, science, spirituality, or social media. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, your ideas within these areas can resonate widely, reaching the masses through groups, platforms, or movements. Careers that place you in a role of connecting people, building networks, or inspiring collective visions often feel especially aligned. Publicly, the 11th house placement shows that others resonate with your ability to connect on a collective level. People may be drawn to your vision for the future, your authenticity in community spaces, or your ability to spark unity. The masses may see you as a leader, a connector, or a voice for collective ideals, even if you see yourself simply as one among many. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to your sense of belonging. If you feel disconnected from community or isolated from collective purpose, your health may suffer. On the other hand, when you are aligned with supportive networks and contributing to shared goals, your vitality is amplified. Finding balance between group involvement and personal rest is essential. Financially, the Galactic Center in the 11th house suggests that money and opportunities may flow through networks, collaborations, or shared ventures. Friends or communities may play a powerful role in opening doors for you. At times, dramatic shifts may occur through alliances, sudden opportunities, or unexpected endings. The lesson here is to trust the flow of collective support, while also grounding yourself in personal stability. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the 11th house is about recognizing your role in the larger web of humanity. Your authenticity shines brightest when you share your vision with others and contribute to something beyond yourself. The masses are drawn to your ability to carry ideals, to speak for collective hopes, and to embody authenticity within community. At its heart, this placement teaches that your magnetism lies in your ability to inspire groups and movements. If you hide your vision, you may feel disconnected or overlooked. But when you share it openly, you become a beacon that others instinctively gather around. So ask yourself, am I honouring my vision for the future? Or am I dimming it to fit in? Am I willing to trust that my authenticity within community is what makes me magnetic? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 11th house teaches that your power lies in connection. Through your networks, friendships, and contributions to society, you become a channel for inspiration that ripples outward through the collective. This is your invitation to embrace your role within community, to share your authentic vision of the future, and to trust that the masses are drawn not just to your ideas, but to the way you embody them with truth and integrity. The 12th house is the house of spirituality, dreams, hidden realms, solitude, and the unconscious. It governs what lies beneath the surface of the conscious mind, as well as retreat, mysticism, and the collective unconscious. When the Galactic Center is here, its immense energy flows into the unseen and spiritual dimensions of life. This placement suggests that the masses are drawn to your ability to channel inspiration from hidden or spiritual realms, and to embody authenticity in ways that touch people at a soul level. This placement creates someone whose connection to the unseen is amplified. At your best, you become a channel for intuition, spiritual guidance, or creativity that flows from beyond the rational mind. Others may be drawn to you for your sensitivity, your compassion, or the way you embody truths that can't easily be explained. At your most unbalanced, you may struggle with escapism, overwhelm, or difficulty grounding spiritual insight into practical life. In relationships, the galactic center in the 12th house often points to bonds that feel karmic or spiritual. You may attract partners who awaken you to hidden parts of yourself, or who connect with you on deep soul-level dimensions. At times, relationships may feel secret, private, or difficult to define, but they often carry a sense of destiny. The challenge is to maintain boundaries and clarity while still honoring the depth of connection. In career, this placement suggests success in fields tied to spirituality, healing, art, writing, film, or any work that channels inspiration from the unseen. You may also thrive in roles involving solitude, research, or service behind the scenes. Because the Galactic Center amplifies this house, your private or hidden work can have far-reaching influence, often touching more people than you realize. Publicly, the 12th house placement shows that others may not always see your influence directly, but they feel it. People may be drawn to you for your aura, your compassion, or the way you quietly embody inspiration. You may not seek recognition, but the energy you carry resonates deeply with the collective unconscious, creating subtle but profound impact. Health and well-being with this placement often tie back to emotional and spiritual balance. Because the 12th house rules the hidden realms of the psyche, unresolved emotions or suppressed energies can affect your physical health. Practices like meditation, dream work, energy healing, or time in solitude help you clear and ground the energy you carry. Financially, the Galactic Center in the 12th house may bring income through spiritual or creative work, charitable efforts, or behind-the-scenes roles. Money may also arrive unexpectedly through hidden sources, but equally, losses may come if boundaries are not clear. The lesson is to trust your intuition while also grounding your finances in practical reality. The deeper lesson of the Galactic Center in the 12th house is about recognizing the sacred role of surrender. Your authenticity shines brightest when you allow yourself to become a channel for inspiration that flows through you. The masses are drawn not to what you project, but to the compassion, wisdom, and spiritual depth you embody. At its heart, this placement teaches that your magnetism lies in your connection to the unseen. If you ignore your inner world, you may feel lost or disconnected. But when you honor your spiritual life and embrace solitude, you radiate an energy that others instinctively sense and admire. So ask yourself, am I giving myself space to connect with my inner world, or am I drowning it out with distraction? Am I willing to trust that the unseen realms I connect with can inspire others too? Because the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the 12th house teaches that your greatest power lies in your surrender to spirit. By honoring your dreams, your intuition, and your connection to the collective unconscious, you become a beacon of inspiration for others, whether you realize it or not. This is your invitation to embrace solitude, to trust your spiritual insights, and to know that the masses are drawn not just to your outer self, but to the inner light you quietly carry.